Well, hello everyone. Oh, sorry for the noise. Just getting myself sorted out here. Um, right. So, yesterday's stream went AWire. Something happened with my Well, for those that don't know, I'm streaming through my phone using my mobile internet, which means that sometimes I don't actually have enough for these long streams. I mean, they go up for 2, 3 hours. Today will have to be a short one. I mean, I could do longer because actually today I just kind of backed myself up with unlimited juice. The problem is running out of time today already, as the day is already getting to a close here in London, UK. But yesterday was bad because I started working on these first two pages of issue 5. They're here on this thumbnail. Is a lovely page of an old lady arriving at the front of her house and opening the door. And is a full bleed page with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 segments, 4 long panels of showing a traditional road in Edinburgh, where issue 5 is partially set. And then the camera slowly pans to the side of the house as the lady walks up the road. And then as she's about to open the door, a big shadow covers her back and makes her notice that there's something happening behind her. And then when she turns, the huge werewolf, well, it's really a mutated dog, looks like a large wolf, that is called Raving Jack, and he's coming up the road. Piggybacking on him is Felix, and he gives a thumbs up to the old lady, which is here in the forefront of the panel. This is a little wall over a front garden. And there's Greeny Ernie as well. Greeny Ernie is another mutated pet, a turtle. Not a ninja turtle, not a ninja turtle. And he's being carried because he's been mortally wounded. And Raving Jack, Jackie is his original name, is this guy here. He's also been very hurt, but neither of them perish. So we worked on these two pages yesterday. This one was particularly difficult, actually, because I didn't actually add the thumbnails yesterday. So I went by memory alone, positioned the elements, did the kind of tried to figure it out the perspective, and then my stream crashed. And not only we weren't able to continue, we weren't able to finish, but I wasn't able to upload it either on YouTube. So you just got canceled. You just got completely lost on the ether world. And this is something that has happened to a lot of people. So today we can stream, fortunately, time. So let's hope we can do an hour of this. So let's quit on this one now. And as I was saying yesterday, and because it did not get recorded, it eventually got lost for posterity. So I was saying that after a week of doing this, and I did have to have a break on Sunday. That's the bit I was also explaining yesterday. Um, I believe it will be difficult to finish these two issues in 100 days. I mean, we're talking upwards of 50 pages. Most likely, right now it's 52 pages. Most likely, it will be 55, 54. Sorry, uh, probably more. Um, I believe, because this is not my full time job, unfortunately. I believe the best I will be able to do, to be completely honest, will hopefully be a full issue, completely inked, so around 30 pages. And hopefully the last 20 something remaining pages, at least they will be mostly penciled. There will be, though, a few weeks that I will have free throughout the next 3 months. So one in November, one in December, one in January. And through those weeks, they're going to be the longest streams possible, maybe 4, 5, 6 hours long. And I'm really going to be pushing the envelope, but try to do as many as I can in those weeks. So maybe we might still be able to finish the actual book by the end of the 100 days. But again, it's a tough shot. I mean, again, if I'm able to do 2 issues in 3 months effectively, I'll be working at the place of a pro, which are guys that work at it, well, full time, which is a luxury I cannot afford. So if I'm doing that together with a full time job and very little sleep, by the way, well, I would be doing very well if I don't like to blow my own horn, but that'll be effectively a very good thing. So just gonna jump around. This is a layout, very rough, crappy layout for a page. This is a page from the middle upwards of issue 5, and in here what's happening is the virus then, which if you've watched my previous streams and are getting start getting a bit of the story, one of the main characters being a mutated virus gets shrinked and goes back into his natural state, which is microscopical. Inside the microscopic world, there's actually a society with a series of other beings, and funny enough, there's an arena, a gladiatory arena, and in the final chapter of the book and some of the final scenes, he has to prove himself in this arena where he has to fight his antigen, so his alter ego, his nemesis, so to speak. And this is a scene where the nemesis is introduced, followed by a full bleed page where IC-3000, which is his worst nightmare and the savior of mankind, will appear in his full glory with a beautiful, amazing armor. Um, right now, this is a setup page. Uh, and this kind of page is always complicated because I wanna show off the environment. I wanna give a bit of friction here between the top panel and the middle panel, where the guys that rule the arena is kind of a Jabba the Hutt kind of cult, basically. They have to have a jibe at him, and he has to have a jibe back. And then you have this guy here. He's like a Kermit the Frog kind of character, He kind of gesticulates all over the place, and he's an announcer. He's the announcer for every time a new warrior comes into the arena. He has to he kind of becomes all excited, and he ends up being squashed here by a mallet, which belongs to IC-3000. The IC-3000, although being a nice guy, is here in the shade, like the Hulk in Thor Ragnarok, behind the door that conceals the gladiators. And although IC-3000 is a nice guy, he just got fed up of him, so he kind of squashes him. Um, so yeah, I mean, this is a setup page, and I'm always a little bit worried about these pages because, again, I want to show the vista. I want to have some dialogue here, which is partially exposition, partial plot point, but then I also don't want to stretch the scene for too long. So it's always a bit of a worry. So what I'm gonna do today is I'm just gonna do what I usually do. I'm gonna eyeball this layout onto the final page. So again, this is Chromosome 96, issue 5, and this is technically, in principle, it's page 14, although they might change the count. So it's a full pleat page, meaning all the panels don't actually have any outlines, and there's no gutters. Well, actually, there's gutters here, actually, but now you guys remember. This should start here. I'm not going to worry too much about the perspective here because I know this is an easy shot. It's just an arena, basically. You guys remember the Gladiator movie, a Ridley Scott movie? Well, of course you do. It's a crowd pleaser, so. Okay, right. It's not really the right one. Now, this is basically the same arena. I'm just going to have to come up with something else for the top canopy, basically. I really want to do a kind of traditional canopy that everybody knows of. So it kind of thins out here, and it opens up there. Everybody watching this, who you are. A few markers just in case I want to change the line. No need for a French curve here. Then you got the stalls. It's a very, very crowded arena. Stalls are very, very long. And while we can't stream today, I'll just use this chance to plug as much as I can about my work. So on this YouTube channel, we will have a stream coming this Saturday. Okay, so I'm actually not gonna have I'm not gonna have gutters here. I'm just gonna close the panels because I think, yeah, this will be the best. I think I measured this at the exact same height, but I'm gonna make this top of the second panel. And this, I'm just gonna erase this line here. I prefer to have them stuck together, panel 1 and 2, because they're really just a mirror image of each other, so helps to have be a bit more, lets it breathe a little bit better. So yeah, but as I was saying, there'll be a stream this Saturday, and the focus will be horror and the genesis of horror and what horror really means. Horror, obviously, as a cultural, um, how shall we call it, entertainment. Maybe a cultural phenomenon, I guess. So horror in literature, basically, and because I'm not the highest connoisseur of horror literature, apart from all the classics that most people know. I'm a huge fan of Poe. When I say huge fan, is I got all his works. I've seen and got some of Corman's movies, and yeah, and I understand the language. Romanticism, the neo-Gothic, the Victorian. Uh, Victorian drama. literary drama. So yeah, I mean, I probably know enough and appreciate enough of it. But then there's also Lovecraft, obviously a Poe's follow up, and also horror in other media. So in cinema, and how cinema was able to exploit and explore horror and take it to the next level. Okay, so here there's a balcony. This balcony pops out. Okay, so if I got a balcony here in the foreground, it's actually quite long, so it actually will have to be from here because there's a lot of dead space here that I don't really need to use. It's really only for exposition, and there's not much exposition actually here. This will be stone, and it's kind of a little a frame here, it's kind of a parapet, whatever it's called. And this can be coming out that much. Otherwise, this will be way in the back. So this is the front wall of the arena. Right, so this has to curve much more. See, this is what I'm explaining, you know. This is the thing, boys and girls, you know, each page in a comic is, at least for me, is a puzzle. There needs to be worked out. And only by coming up with a series of variations that you arrive at the optimal picture. I don't like to waste panels. I you know, every panel, every page, I want to do something special with the page, every single page. I don't want you guys to go through one of my issues, even the shortest one, 22 pages, and just go like, yeah, okay, yeah, that was okay. No, I want you guys to look at a page and go like, oh wow, that's cool. You know, I mean, it might not be the greatest work that you've ever seen, but at least you will be interesting. It will be unusual. Hopefully in the right direction. It will be. I'm always looking for different ways to approach a picture. So right now, for example, I'm not happy at all with what I have here because I want to put these guys here quite in the foreground. But if they're in the foreground and they're standing just above the arena wall, then obviously this balcony they're on can't be that far away from the back wall. So obviously I need to change my perspective. Sorry, this rubber makes a lot of noise. There you go. So this is why this is a layout, because it's just an idea of what you need, and then you have to find a way to translate that to be more effective. So we got the arena wall, should probably be more like this. Balcony here, coming out a little bit. Do little markers. So because then if we change again the direction of things, if we change again the perspective, then we know where the previous one was, and then we can make alterations so we don't retrace the same steps again. There's no repetition, so we don't take ages with a page or with a panel. Okay, this still means it's too far back. By the way, I want to show you guys something. Um, see if I can grab it. This is an exclusive. For all those that said it wasn't possible. That's a line from a Manowar song, yeah? Well, actually, that's not a line from a Manowar song. That's something Manowar said on a live concert that I was watching just before they went on to play their song, which is 25 minutes long. For all those that said it wasn't possible. And then they started. This is actually issue 1 of Chromosome 96, fully printed. My nice little indie label, which has no name. Guys, I used to do the whole thing of the most important thing is to do. First of all, you got to think of a label. You got to think of an indie label. To launch yourself, to have your household name, and the most important thing is also the cover. And then like many guys I knew over the years, they worried about all these commercial flashy stuff. And but then you go to them, and I used to go to them and say, okay, well, what about your book? What about the inside pages? And their answer would be, yeah, good question. Yeah, well, I haven't got to those yet. No, I mean, listen, myself, like every other person, loves a cover. Yeah, and yes, cover is very important, and the way you're going to sell your book is very important. But worry about the story first. Worry about what you're actually going to fill in the book with. Not just the cover. Right. So this is a sample copy I had done for issue 1 just before launching my Indiegogo campaign, and it's the book pretty much as you will be, although hopefully now, oh sorry, hopefully now when we relaunch and we fund, hopefully, it will be the same book, but it will be. Here you go. You see, guys, all this work for finally having this. It takes a long time from here to there. So hopefully, when we relaunch and fund, it will be what you're looking at now, but the material use, the paper use will be slightly different. So I want the cover to be less malleable. I want the cover to have a higher grade, so it'll be a little bit heavier. And then the pages inside will be a little bit lighter and matte, because this is all glossy at the moment. It was just to make it cheap, this that I'm holding right now. Also, there will be changing the credits. Some of the guys that are here, which I'm not going to show, already shown, but I'm going to cover. Some of the guys here in the credits don't want to be part of this book for obvious reasons connected to Comicsgate. In the meanwhile, they got sent. They realized they became aware that I'm a supporter of the movement, and as such, they will not want to be associated with this project anymore. So their credits will be removed at their request. No problems with that. I don't close anybody in. I don't blackmail anyone. So if you don't want to be part of the project, that's fine. Obviously, I already paid for the work. The work will, uh, well, it will show if I want to, but the credits won't be there. So tough. But to be honest, so I will avoid to avoid any future problems. I am actually thinking on relettering the whole book. Um, so the font that is chosen here, it's fine. Is basically what I asked for, but I think I can probably even find an even more suitable one. It's always tricky with lettering, and actually, one of the guests I'm going to be having soon on my show, on my one-on-one interview, would actually be a letterer because it's a very important final step. The layout lettering is a very important final step in the book, and so many times is disregarded as well, you just need to have something to read, isn't it? Well, it's not exactly like that. There's a lot to be said about the writing and the editing, but still a lot to be said about the actual lettering and the layout. Usually, the letterer is the guy that actually does the final layout of the page. So, and the layout, to be honest, is superb. It's exactly what I wanted. It was a very difficult book to do the layout for because pages are, some of them, the panels go all the way straight to the end of the trim, very close to the trim line, so it's a bit tricky. So yeah, guys, I'm actually giving you a free show of the book right here, live today, just out of the blue. And I'm not going to show everything. Another thing that also needs to be done is a little bit more trimming, on the actual text. Um, this book originally, issue one, was, as probably mentioned before, was very very big. Was very long. I mean, original draft was 40 something pages. That was before I actually broke down the scenes and and I made the page layouts. Basically, it was just a script. The script was almost 50 pages long. Then with the second draft, it became about 30 something pages long, maybe 32, 31. So there was a big shave. But then, obviously, in order to be able to do this book, still work as a floppy, I still wanted to make it no more than 30 pages. So in the final two drafts, I think I managed to squeeze it down to 28, which is what it is now. And then there was a lot of cutting still, a lot of polishing to do with the writing and a series of edits. And I'm still not 100% happy with a bit of the exposition in the beginning. So I'm still thinking in having final edit, for final edit. Obviously, there's also a few positions of the balloons that I want to move them around a little bit. But we're talking about very minor stuff. What you see really is what you would get, or what you will get, hopefully, once we actually print the book in large amounts for everybody to enjoy. So yeah, and most of these pages you've probably already seen. Sorry, I was focusing the camera. So I mean, it's a bit word heavy in the beginning, as you have the exposition and everything happening. You got to position all your pawns, you got to position all your characters, and you got to start the drama. There's an engine starting it, and yeah. But again, I just want a minor final edit, and once we shave off a few things and move a couple of the balloons, then it will be perfect. Unfortunately, I think I have to repair a new letterer to do this for me, because again, the letterer is one of the players that is not very happy with the Comicsgate movement. He has expressed that several times over his Facebook, and I'm just worried that he won't be very pleased if I keep his credit. But obviously, I have to give credit where credit is due. So once I actually remove him from the book, I have to remove the lettering, unfortunately, and I have to re-letter the book. I'm happy with his work. I'm very happy with it. It's just that we don't want any future conflicts. And another chap that did kind of a final edit, he definitely doesn't want to be associated with the book at all. So he actually said that. This is a great book. And what you see here is still only. I still just wanted to have a printout of the book just to see how well it works. This is not the exact final thing, as I said. The paper will be different. There will be a final edit on the text, and things will be a little bit tighter. But as it is now, it's still ready for to be consumed. I'm devoured. Back to the problem at hand. 5 issues later, yeah. Okay, so here you got the balcony, right? And starting to make a little bit more sense. I just don't know how much you can see of it. That probably helps. Yeah. So got a few comments here. Again, I can never see the comments because I don't look. I don't have a screen in front of me. So I got Samuli Olki. Thank you very much for dropping by, man. And yeah, well, thank you very much for watching me do the work. I can't really. Sorry about this. He does have a fun style. Yes, I mean, it's my own style. You can clobber together out of a bunch of different styles. Okay, is it time to show you a little bit of the concept art? I think it is. Let's have a look here. Concept art. Here in the arena, we're gonna have this guy. He's like a it's like a bodyguard, basically. I still need to ink him. I have produced about I don't know, about maybe I've produced about 30 to 40 different monsters and creatures for this section of the book. Yeah, probably about that. And this is one of them. This table is quite long, so I'm just gonna move this a little bit this way. This guy is here. It's one of these guys that is here. And what else do I got here? Got this guy. I think this guy is gonna show there somewhere. This guy guy's the main character in the arena. He's kind of the local Jabba the Hutt, and this guy's he's a pain in the butt to render. Each tentacle, it's got all these little rings, and each ring has hair and blisters and pain in the butt. As you can see, I still have 70% of it to do, and but he's here. He's the guy that is just about here, and I have to put all these tentacles here, overflowing and spilling. And oh yes, I just remembered this little balcony definitely sticks out from the rest of the arena. So, and that's kind of an overview of the arena from above. This will be the wall. You can get out. And so this guy here, he's around here somewhere. Actually, he's here, I think. What's his name? Zagarath. Oh yeah, I had to name all these guys as well. So that's Zagarath there. This guy here is called Frey Rabat. Star Wars-ish names. You know, just like Lucas naming all these Cantina monsters. You know, that's basically the lesson I learned from Lucas' way of working. You know, is how the hell does he come up with all those names? That guy does have a good imagination. I always wonder. I mean, he must have help with all those names. How does Lucas come up with all the monsters' names? I don't know. Here there'll be a guy which has his horns. I can't remember his name right now, to be honest. And he's got these huge mace. It's like these spikes. Kind of these spikes. They absorb the blood of the victim. He bangs the spikes against, and then the blood is kind of stored in this big bubble at the top of the mallets. It's just some crazy weapon, and he's partially a tentacle creature as well. So you got Zagarath here, foreground. Got the wall. Yeah, guys, this is very sketchy, right? This really is just we're laying out our weapons on the table, basically. You know, so we're not firing yet. That's not straight, is it? So as I said, in all my books, I always want to keep people as entertained as possible. You know, I want each page to resonate, each page to be something special. So I always want to every that's why my stuff takes quite a long time to do. I know a lot of people have been following me on Facebook and other places, and they've been well, anxiously the few fans I have, few apart and in between. They've been anxiously waiting for Chromosome 96 to come out. But the thing, obviously, they don't know is a process behind it, which is this process. It's a very long thing because I want again I want each panel, each page to be memorable. I don't want just to. Uh, well, I am a slow worker, but I also don't want to do something that's just going to be um, you know just going to be an excuse just to launch a subpar story. I don't want to do that. I prefer not to do it at all. If it is a subpar page or whatever, I do prefer to take my time with it. I try to break some rules with the pages. I try to do something special every time I put pen to the paper. So that takes time. That takes time. I'm not as pretentious as to say that I look at each of my pages like a amazing sculpture or a masterful painting. It's not like that, but a lot of times I do. I find myself with a script and a couple of pages to work with, or a sequence that spreads out over a series of pages that need to with a series of issues that need to be solved, and I don't just go and think, oh, okay, well, this is good enough. Got enough exposition here. I show the character there. Action is solid. Well, that's it. Done. No, I don't do that. I look at script. I look at the layout, and I go like, okay, this works like that, but it doesn't work like that. So how can I make this a little bit better? How can I make this a little bit more interesting, captivating, so on and so forth. So you might even find myself like a crazy old man in the bench of a park, just going over a page, the layout of a page, and together with the page of the script, and thinking, this is not working. How can I make this working? And I'm talking to myself in the park bench until obviously the medical staff comes and take me. Now that doesn't actually happen. I don't go to parks. I should. It's healthy, but I don't go. Now I just find myself at my drawing table, a lot of times just debating, having conflicts, inner conflict about what should be done and how should be done. So yeah, it's a long process. It's a long process, and obviously most people are not aware of that. So hopefully these videos will illustrate the the battle behind the process. Okay, this has to be rounder here. I want to curve the canopy of the arena. The curve this thing here. I want to curve it a little bit. That's a wider shot, closer to it. Here I want to take it back a little bit. I want to curve it. Right, so let's mark again. It was here, here, and there. So then everything should follow this. So that's got to be a bit flatter there. As the seats come down, they become a little bit less wide. I guess the arena. So, and all that thinking, all that planning is it's completely independent from the actual execution of the page. That's a whole other conflict that comes after. Although to be honest, I think most of my time is wasted, well, is spent on the actual planning and these sketches that I do, these layouts, and like I said, I could go the way of just which I do anyway a lot of times, just to blow these things up and use a light table and get it over with and just position things a little bit and that's it. Some pages I do like that, ones that are very tricky. This one, believe it or not, is not that tricky. I'm just trying to get the line here correct, because curves more at the edges on the top, but then he curves here as well, so it gives a feel of the fullness of the arena. But then as you come down the stalls, then here it becomes flatter when you get to the wall, basically. Now, where am I supposed to put the wall again? Here, right? Yeah, that's where the wall should be. So here should be curved here, and then flatten a bit again. Make it again the bottom side of the wall. So let's see. Let's see if this works. Yeah, this is a little bit time consuming, a bit frustrating. But once we get past this, section, then everything else is fun. Everything else is just filling in the details and start adding textures and all that. Right now, this is just a skeleton. She's just really support for the shots. Yeah, this is the wall of the arena. Around the arena, that's the stalls. So now we have to think about. This as you get closer to the center, it curves less, becomes straighter, and then it's a question of how wide these things are going to be. Now we see a few points of reference. Middle stall here, and all the other ones have to widen in opposite directions. Always a little bit more. You can do this with a ruler, or you can just eyeball it, like the way I always do. Sometimes I'm completely wrong in my perspectives, so you can always slam my head in the comments. This does mean the wall here has got to be much bigger. Well, something has come to my attention in Twitter. some gives me the feeling that Twitter kind of randomly um, unassociates people and follows people for you or something. I don't know. I mean, something happening there. I mean, people unfollow me, they unfollow me, but I'm pretty sure that a lot of people I have not unfollowed, and I keep on verifying that I need to follow them again. So there's something strange there. I don't know if that's just a glitch or what is it? What's happening there? I mean, Facebook has a limit on the people you can friend, by friend, or the people that can by friend you. I think it's 5,000, I think, and then after that you got to restart you got to do another account or something. So I'm not sure if this is part of a new strategy from Twitter. I mean, I think I heard that right now there is no limits, but I mean I know there is no limits at the moment. But I also heard that maybe in a very close future, Twitter will be limiting the amount of people you can actually follow. So that's a pity. Well, at least if they keep it around the 5,000 people, at least that's a dignifying number. So let's mark this here as well. Uh, okay, this is way in the back, so the arena is huge, really. So this line here has to go. It's very shrink here. There's a bug here flying around. Okay, I just need a little 2 minutes. To a certain point, I want him to be dwarfed by the arena, so I don't want him, but I want him to be imposing as well. Move his face a little bit forward. 'Cause he's. Mhm. Right, he's got to come lower. So I always have a problem that he's naked most of the time. And actually, this is the issue. This final issue is the one where you finally get the full frontal. But it's not what you think it is. Again, that's another thing I give some thought about. These ways of trying to surprise you. I again, I mean, a lot of writers and a lot of artists. They just, I'm not gonna critique anybody's work because human beings are wonderful creatures, and they all have their unique ways of thinking, and it's always wonderful to see what goes inside the mind and what it comes out. But I have to say that a lot of the creators, they're especially see that in the seasonal season American pros, and they've pretty much just I'm not going to say get stuck, but they pretty much always just their work method or their stories. They pretty much revolve around a couple of settings. I'm trying to be careful here not to offend anybody, because obviously these guys they know what they're doing. Yeah, and I'm mostly a fan and less of a critic. But all I'm gonna say is that they tend to um, kind of give you one or two sides of a story, and that's pretty much it. I mean, it's not necessarily a personal thing. I mean, from creator to creator, it's just it's the language of the medium, the U.S. comic. It is what it is. I still think that stylistically and narratively speaking, a lot of times, I don't know if you guys can see this yet. A lot of times, it's still just a kind of one kind of narrative, and it has to move this way. I mean, there's nothing wrong into the usual strokes. On a three-act structure or whatever. It starts here and ends there. Okay, we understand that, but why not get a little bit more, a little bit wilder in the middle? You know, and why it has always to end in the same way? It's just the hero's journey is. You got the hero's journey. I mean, you got the conflict, the resolution. You have the beginning of the Odyssey and all that. But it does not mean that your hero has to be successful every time. It does not mean that he has to end up with a girl in the end. It does not mean any of that. I mean, it's just a structure. Structure is millennial, whatever. I mean, the structure is what it is. Is Joseph Campbell all the way. Okay, we understand that. We understand your structure, our structure can be and should be the basic structure with a few slight exceptions where you change it. But once you have your structure done, you can play with what is inside the structure. You don't need to get stuck to a old tired narrative troops. So when I'm doing my stuff, I'm not. I'm trying my best to actually get out of that shell. Really, really, really try to do something that is different. For crying out loud, do something different. I mean, try. If you tell me, what this guy, what he would do now is this. And I'm like, well, yeah, but that's precisely why I don't want to do it. Now, that's not to say that things that make sense should be altered now, because then you have what you have in most today's comics, which stories that make no sense. That's not what I'm saying. It has to make sense. That's why I'm saying. That's why I say yes. Follow Joseph Campbell. Follow the structure. Follow the hero's journey. Yes, do follow it. Yeah, make it three acts, or make it a five chapter structure, whatever. But do follow it by all means. Just be as creative as possible. Is in the in betweens. That's where you should really step up your game. And I see the stories. They always end up in the same way. I mean, yeah, well, exposition, blah blah blah. Now, with that said, that book that I showed you just now, Chromosome 96, issue one, does leave a lot from classic narrative in the first issue. I mean, it's actually so deliberate that you'll have 28 pages altogether. The first 10 is clearly just introduction and exposition. Second 10 is the drama starts, canvas opens, all hell breaks loose, and then the third is like a resolution. The third section of the book, the last 8 pages, it's kind of a resolution. Although what he actually is just all open war, ending up in a cliffhanger. So I do make the reason I use this is because, as you can see, I go over the lines a lot of times, not in the lightest way. I have to tilt a little bit. This guy is difficult because he has no neck, and because he has got a very small, tiny little neck. Well, I don't almost say that he has no neck. Yeah, and the way to find this, well, in one way, it's easier to tilt his head. Just drop the chin or whatever. But a lot of times, you just get yourself into a situation where you don't know where to have his head pointing to. Move this a little bit to the side. He's buff, but he's not this buff. Move this line inside. Bit out here. Move the chin this way. Up the boobie a little bit. Raise it here. So yeah, so again, there's nothing wrong with classic narratives, but that's why Empire Strikes Back is one of the greatest scripts ever because it completely subverts expectations. And that's how you subvert expectations. That's how you subvert expectations. You position the main epic battle in the beginning. You build up your pathos in a way that you halfway, well, uh, halfway through your third act, you kind of think, why this is going to be resolved. I mean, the guys are going to lose, and yeah, and then in the end, the heroes do lose. That's why it's textbook on how you should subvert expectations. So much so that Hollywood has never recovered from the Empire Strikes Back. They're still in need of Empire Strikes Back esque scripts, because it's too good. It's too good. Obviously, this hand is bigger than the other one, so it's a bump sticker. No, hello there. Just scratching paper. Nasty rubber. Okay. It's really frustrating when you have to leave something like this because right now it just looks like rubbish. But we gotta go for today, guys. Although I'd like to stay a little bit longer. It's getting late in here, and unfortunately, I have to leave this party. Tomorrow, yeah, let's see what we can do tomorrow. Might have to do another setup. Move the drawing board to a different room, so it's next to my modem, really, my base for streaming. Because these right now I'm streaming from my mobile, and again, like I mentioned in the beginning, it's not enough juice, and we don't want another crash session because it's unfortunate. So I might need to do it closer to the actual computer. Okay, guys, thank you very much for coming over, and see you tomorrow, hopefully. Bye bye.